A regular day. As the sun shines over the hills, flooding the valley with a soft, rosy hue, the Nibbles family start to wake up. They yawn, stretch, and jump out of bed, ready to start the day. Wally and Molly normally take an early walk around their neighborhood. They greet Mr. Grasshopper, who's always on the hop, get splashed with water by Mr. Sunbird, who's taking an early bath, and spot Mr. Pickersgill Reed Frog singing for joy amongst the flowers. They return home for breakfast. The Nibbles family packs their lunches into their school bags and sets off to school. The Nibbles children walk down Chatterbox Lane, and usually they see the same residence every morning. Colin the chameleon is the most difficult to spot because he's so well camouflaged. Drat the rat is always grovelling in dustbins along the side of the road, and they usually hear Mod the mole's guitar before they see him. The little mice love school. They get to colour in, play musical instruments, read stories and learn new words. And while the children are at school, Wally is hard at work in his office. Meanwhile, Molly mops the floors, washes the linen, and hangs it up to dry over the railings. Then she gets ready for lunch with her best friend. And while Molly and her friend feast on custard slices and cakes, Wally gets to eat cheese. And what's more, it's mouldy cheese. Now Wally thinks of all the work he still has to do, and he's positive that a mouldy slice of cheese will never give him enough energy to fix window frames, mend a broken table leg, and tidy up the garden shed. And so he tiptoes to the pantry and pilfers a pie. The mice children return home from school and do their homework before going outside to fly their kites. It's a glorious afternoon, and there are others enjoying the pleasant warm weather. A caterpillar enjoys a leafy snack, while a praying mantis munches a bug for her afternoon tea. Hugh the kingfisher spies a fish in the old pond and decides to do some fishing. As the day draws to an end, the little mice take it in turns to bath. Then they help Molly in the kitchen as she prepares the evening meal. Bubble and Squeak set the table, and the mice sit down for supper. And before bed, Wally reads the children a bedtime story and asks who can remember the new word that they learnt at school early in the day. As usual, it's Squeak who puts her hand up first. It was diurnal, which is a word used to describe a living thing that sleeps at night but becomes active during the day. Oh, well done, Squeak. That was a tricky word to remember. And seeing as we're diurnal and you've had a busy day, I think it's time you all go to bed. And so as the sun sets, the mice children rest their sleepy little heads on their pillows and fall asleep. Molly remembers the washing is still hanging on the balcony and asks Wally to help her bring it inside. While he's folding the last sheet, he spots Hugh the kingfisher heading for home in the twilight. The last of the sun's reflections create a soft, glowing light in the sky as the sun drops below the horizon. Wally looks up as Bugsy the bat swoops down to gobble an unsuspecting insect. Ah, thinks Wally to himself, that's a new word I can teach the little mice tomorrow. Crepuscular, animals which come out and are active during the twilight, just like bats. Night falls. Wally lights his candle and gets ready for bed. Outside, the creatures of the dark start to become active. Ah, but that's a story for another day. In the meantime, let's look at some of the new words which were used in today's story. Regular. Today's story was called The Regular Day. When we use the word regular, we mean that something is normal, typical, or natural. A regular day is a sort of day that is expected or ordinary. Hue. A soft, rosy hue flooded the valley as the sun rose over the hills. Hue is another word for colour or shade. Pilfer, Wally pilfered a pie from the pantry. Pilfer means to steal something which has very little value. Do you think it was right for Wally to pilfer the pie? What do you think he should have done instead? That's right, I agree with you. He should have asked Molly if he could have had the pie before pilfering it. Stealing is never acceptable, even if the item which is taken is not expensive. Diurnal. Diurnal is a word that is used to describe a living thing that sleeps at night but becomes active during the day. The Nibbles family, Mr. Grasshopper and Colin Chameleon, are diurnal because they are busy during the day and sleep at night. Crepuscular. Crepuscular animals appear and are active in twilight. Bats are often seen catching insects in the soft, glowing light of the sky as the sun sets. If you have time, why don't you ask a grown-up to help you with some of these fun activities? You could make a happy sun using a paper plate, or you could use the worksheet provided with the story to plot your regular day. Perhaps you'd just like to lie on your back and find shapes in the clouds. You may see a mushroom, a dog, or even a funny face. Whatever you do, enjoy your day.